great gospel.
I'm your turn, LaVern, and yes, this is One Street Over. What's going on One Street Over from where you living? Having a little chit-chat with one of my fellow Bobcats. I got Brooke Callis in here. She's our principal down at Greenbrier Elementary. Now, that microphone, I should have set that up for you. You got to turn it and talk right into the front of it for me. When I don't have Lee Marie in here, Lee Marie fixes everything for me. She'll be in here. No, today's Tuesday. Tomorrow's, this is not the midway. I just can't keep my day straight. How about you?
I understand. Totally.
We were having a teacher moment here. She's principal, and but I'm sure you started as a teacher. What is your history on teaching? Where were you first?
I actually started at Cheatham Park Elementary. I was in CDC for 3 years there, and then I did 7 years at Watauga Elementary. And I've been at Greenbrier ever since. This is my 12th year there.
Wow. So you are a career teacher. And that's what we were talking about how that you just, if you've not ever taught, if you've never been in the school system, you really don't know. You just don't know. It's wonderful. Number one, I love it. But late nights, something every evening, it seems like. And I'm just in my third year. And the more you get into it, and more you get to know the kids, the more you want to be there for their stuff.
That's right.
There'll be a play. I promised some kiddos I'm going to see them play soccer on Thursday night, and I have church commitments tonight and tomorrow night because of the work I do with Celebrate Recovery. But by the time you fill the other nights up, and then of course we had the amazing Open Door Pregnancy and Resource Center Legacy dinner last night. Oh my goodness, it was unbelievable. Lee Marie had said, I have never seen the center transform to that degree. It was phenomenal. And I think they raised a lot of money, and I hope they did. Are you familiar with Open Door?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
actually, Miss Shawn is one of our parents. So we
of course, Mimi. Little Mimi. Of course, I knew that. I had forgotten that. Well, because and they're getting ready to go to they're going.
Heard all about that.
I know. I've heard all about it too. I'm excited for them. But and kind of a programming note, typically Shawn is in here on the first Wednesday of the month. They're going to be enjoying some R&R tomorrow and for the week. So yes, well deserved. And she reminded me of that last night. And so Barry and Rebecca Richards were there, and I'm like, hey, because that's they're a long time full-time sponsor here of the program. And we like to check in with them every, couple of months, every 2 or 3 months, just because of the real estate market and stuff and all the things going on. And plus, Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival is coming up. It'll be here before we blink. And so we'll be talking about that as well. But more about that in a minute. I have got my friend Brooke Callis here, and principal at our Greenbrier Middle. Now, we've got Jen Hayes coming up, and you said she's at Cheatham Park.
She is. Mm-hmm.
Cheatham Park. And so tell me, okay, so what ages do you have at your school? Because I know it varies. Some are like, the younger grades, and then I don't know. It varies. It just varies what ages you have, right?
Yes, ma'am. We have pre-K through 5th grade. Okay. So you're looking at 3-year-olds all the way up to age 11.
Okay.
Roughly.
So you're a true elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we have we've really got the breakdown in what I anticipate it to be at Greenbrier.
Yes.
But I know some, they'll have like 1st through 3rd grade or something,
Yes, I think it's like a building structure thing, just the way buildings are set up.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, aren't y'all one of the schools that has a daycare?
Yes, we do. We actually don't have the employee daycare like Watauga does down the road, but we have SPED pre-K, which we also bring in a lot of model peers. So a lot of our teacher kids take advantage of that opportunity and will come in and serve as models. So it's a good program.
Okay. So how does Watauga then tie into all this? Are they just in elementary too?
Yes. They do not have pre-K like we do, but they do have a daycare for elementary, and they're K-5. So very similar.
It's even with me being in the school system, still trying to get it all straight. That's one of the reasons Jim had this idea to have you guys come in and talk, because I think people in the community, we see the different schools and we're like, well, why do we have that one there and this one here and all that? And you just don't understand. But again, it's about what buildings we have, utilizing them as best potential, and districting. Now, there's some talk about some redistricting. Have you heard all that?
I've heard a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm curious about that. I'll have to get Dr. Weeks in here and what's up, bud? What's up, Dr. Weeks? This is my boss. And I'm like, what's up, bud? No, but It's been mentioned a couple of times in the last month, and I had not heard that.
It has.
Yeah.
I think there's some opportunity for maybe students at Joe Burns Elementary. Maybe they're not quite as full.
Yeah.
Heritage Elementary is very full, so kind of trying to shuffle around and make sure
Yeah.
you have enough space. We are pretty good capacity wise now. We're about 90% capacity, which sounds like a lot, but it's
Yeah.
really pretty manageable.
Okay.
We're at like 615 or so students.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
When I first started there, we were at 842 prior to the Crestview build. So that was a change, a shift in population when they opened up a new building. So we did drop down quite a bit from that,
but it's where it needs to be.
I feel like we're at a very good manageable number. And I mean, I'm just blessed to work with the greatest faculty and staff. We call ourselves family because we are.
Yeah.
It's just a really good environment, great parent support, excellent teachers, students that are, for the most part, very well behaved.
Yeah.
I can't really ask for better in any of that. And just coming up, we are getting ready for TCAP test. I know that's a really big talk. So trying to keep those test scores up is a big deal because our students work hard and our teachers work hard, and we want them to be able to show what they know. And we don't always like that it's through one test, but that's kind of the reality we're dealt with. So
help people, and I still, because we have our EOCs, we have our end of course testing. That's what the acronym is. And it's different and those will happen after we get back from spring break.
Yes, ma'am.
How are TCAT or TCAP?
CAP.
TCAP. Because I'm not done elementary, so I don't really understand it. How can you explain it to somebody like me that doesn't really understand what is TCAP?
It's the be all end all of elementary testing. It's grades 3 through 5. I would equate it to the Super Bowl, honestly. I mean, it's great. Practice in the year is great. Winning all those other games is great. But what the state looks at is actually that one final test. And so while we would like to think that's not how we're judged, it is. There are two things that go into TCAP. I really actually like explaining this because there's a lot, I think, of just misconception around it. But there are two main parts that kind of go into the test. It's achievement and growth. So your achievement score, if you think about, I would kind of think about like maybe a spelling test we took on Fridays when we were growing up.
Right.
That flat score you get in the end, that's your achievement score. So you score 100 on this week's test, that's your score.
Right.
Same with TCAP. The other part to that is growth. So you may have a student who last year, let's say they got 60% correct on math TCAP. That's great. This year, you want them to continue to grow and get up to 70%.
Okay.
Where we see the trouble with that sometimes is that growth can be harder to maintain. We're still going to do it, but it can be very hard to maintain. You may have a student who last year scored 97% on TCAP, got 97% of their math questions correct. This year, if they drop down to 90, they didn't show growth. So it's kind of a ding against the school. Those high-performing students, keeping them there, that's typically our biggest challenge.
Wow.
Is continuing to show that growth. So like I said, two things that make that up, that flat score and that growth score.
Well, that's interesting because that's one thing with Dr. Osborne. Our, the high school has grown, and we are, we have upped our ranking, and trying to keep it there now because that's the thing. We've shown that growth, and it's like excite,
Right.
but now we got to keep it there, and grow even though because we're a level 5 B ranked school. Well, we want that level A and to maintain the B ranked school. We want to maintain that 5 and get up to an A rank.
And we were an A last year, and this year we were a B, and that's great. I'm competitive by nature.
Sure.
But it's still great. But where we saw kind of the decrease was in the growth, just continuing to keep those kids at that high performing level. That's our challenge, but it's not insurmountable. I mean, we firmly believe in high expectations at our school, and our kids rise to those expectations, and so do our teachers. So, as stressful as TCAP can be, it can also be very rewarding to see their hard work pay off.
So what is the timeline on that? You say you're getting ready for that. Is it happening before spring break?
No, ma'am. It will happen actually. It starts mid-April, April 15th, and it runs all the way till May 1st for us, for our particular school. So just a little test every day instead of, You know, like when I was a student and we did TCAP, you started in the morning and you went all the way through, you know. Now it's like we're giving them chunks of it at a time to make it a little bit easier to digest. So
I have a friend of mine that I teach with, and her son is, I guess, middle school, and he was talking about testing that they were supposed to have during the snow, and then what was that
that's
one?
our benchmark test. That's kind of what we would consider like a practice TCAP. It's our best predictor of how students are going to do. We'd love those results. I'm very data driven. I think anybody can tell you that we are very data driven at GES, and we like to see those results, and they're slowly coming in right now.
Okay.
Just looked at some of them yesterday, as a matter of fact, during PD. Just kind of gives you a good indication of what to expect when you take that final end test. So,
okay, because that's the thing. Because I hear all this teacher talk and trying to discern it and understand exactly what's going on. Because I do have my friend that's got the son that's younger, and then she's talking about, well, we got the snow, and he was saying we got to be tested, and I was like, I didn't think those happened until after spring break, so that helps a lot. I was like, I was so confused because it's TCAP and EOC, they're very similar.
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
just two different types
Yes,
of
ma'am.
tests. Because the end of course testing, we're going to be doing that right after we get back from spring break. Well, actually, immediately after spring break, we got ACT.
Yes.
Yeah, we got ACT like the Tuesday after spring break. So it's that time of year, guys. It is going to fly. The rest of the school year is going to fly. We are just in a minute going to be off for spring break, and when we come back, I mean, zoom.
That's right.
It goes. I've had some of my co-teachers are like, we need some kind of a break between spring break and into school, and I'm like, no, we don't. We don't have time.
You have too much to do. There's too much coming up.
Yes, I don't see how in the world you could have. I mean, and then we'll still have after spring break, we'll still have Good Friday.
Right.
It will be off, and so I'm just like, I don't know how in the world you would fit any more time off.
There's too much. There's too much to do right now.
Well, and trying to get these kids ready for these tests.
Right. Between that and just the fun things that go into school in the springtime.
Yes.
Having a daughter last year who graduated, May is a blur with every single activity. And it's that way at the elementary level too.
Right.
You know, we have a father-daughter dance coming up. We're doing a family field night this year instead of a field day. We're going to have a field night.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, we're trying to you know, it's tricky because you live in an age where school security and safety is your top priority, and it's mine. It's my top priority, and so finding a way to balance having community and parents come in with safety measures in place.
Yeah.
We're trying something new this year, and we're just going to see how this works, and inviting families in to do field day activities all together.
Oh, that'll be great.
So, yeah.
When is that happening?
That is May 5th, and then our actual field day will be May 6th.
Okay, so you're going to do both?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we are also blessed at GES with amazing PTO. We would be lost without them. They are so good, so they're kind of helping us organize several of these events. They're just great group of ladies that really just come in and really help the school out. Just in a big way. And so that's one thing when I approached them with this idea, they were like, yeah, it's great. We'll do it. What do you need from us? So, we have great support.
Our PTO, too, I'm just blown away by what they do. They're phenomenal. And I've just seen so much from them, events that they completely take on themselves. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Because it's just a lot. Unless you've been in the school system, you have no idea. You just really don't. And if you're doing it, put it this way, if you're doing it right as a teacher, you're just constantly busy because you get close to these kids, man. You want to be there. Just like I had something happen. There was a improv play that they did and one of the kids was like, "Hurry up!" And I didn't initially plan on going. I was like, I can't miss that. It's one of my kiddos' last performance.
That's right.
You know, because they're graduating. So I was there. And then same thing with the prom fashion show. Miss Vivio, are y'all coming to the prom fashion show? It's like, oh, sure. You know, you can't tell them no. You want to be there.
I had a teacher the other night that went to a Zumba class with her. It was the student's birthday, and she got to pick all the songs, and the student invited her, and she was like, absolutely, I'm there.
Oh, how fun.
You know, just, you want to be invested in their lives.
Yes.
Because they are more than a test score, too. And
yes, they are.
You want them to see, you want them to remember growing up, those people. Yeah. I mean, like you and I probably do. I can still name you my favorite teacher and what she meant in my life, and you want to be that for them too. So
for sure. It's very cool. We're talking with Brooke Callis. She is our principal at Greenbrier Elementary, one of our Bobcat schools. I always tell her, Jim says, well, what are you going to ask him? I said, well, we're just talking. We're just sitting on the porch talking. But I do like to say, I always ask, what are you most proud of at Greenbrier Elementary? What would you say if you had to say? I know he's supposed to prepare you. I thought he would. He told you all this.
He did not, Mr. Callis. You did not prepare me for this.
But well, think about that for a minute, and just, I mean, because you may have already touched on it, talking about your family atmosphere, your parents, and all of that, and the fact that you have that family. So we may have already answered that question.
I think there are so many things, but I definitely think it's that. I think it's just the level of family among our faculty and staff and students, and just that we're a good place to be. It's kids for the most part are pretty happy to come to school. And also that we just have a level of high expectations. There's a sense for every student in our building that you're gonna do this because we know you can. And if not, how are we gonna help you get there? So I think that's it for me. And just seeing the way everybody works together, from the teachers, the parents, the students, the community really supports us as well. So I think all of those things, it's hard to narrow it down to one, but yeah, it's a great place to be. And like I said, this is my 12th year there. I want to say this is my 7th year as the principal. So been there a long time, feel very vested in what we're doing there. I mean, and then the district as a whole. I'm a product of Robertson County Schools. My husband, my parents, my oldest and my youngest is also in a Robertson County school. So just feel like this is the community we live in, and I'm very proud of that.
This is home for you then.
Yes, ma'am, it is very much.
That was going to be one of my next questions, and you just kind of opened it up, and that's good. And so you grew up here.
I did, yes, ma'am. I actually graduated from East Robertson High School.
Okay.
And a long time ago. I mean, not in '99, but yeah. And
not that long ago.
My youngest is actually a sophomore there now.
Okay.
My oldest graduated last year from Springfield High School. So very, very proud Yellow Jacket family too. And oddly enough, my husband went to Joe Burns.
Okay.
So I do like to tease him about that because the rivalry between East Robertson and Joe Burns can get pretty intense. But and same with my parents. My mom went to East and my dad went to Joe Burns. And like I said, this is all I know. This is home to me.
That's fun.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
That's fun. So how did you and your husband meet with the rivalry then? I always love to hear these backstories. How did y'all get together?
This is the best. He's going to love this.
I love that.
So
you get the real story here, guys. Come on.
When I graduated from East, I was never moving back to Robertson County. I was ready to go away. And I was moving. I went to UT my first year, and he was already there. And his grandmother actually fixed us up. So, hi, Miss Florence. We worked at a bank together, and that was what I did over the summer. And she came bringing me a picture of her grandson and was like, "Have you met my grandson? He goes to UT as well." And honestly, she was like, "He went to Joe Burns," and immediately I was like, "Oh no,
I don't want Joe Burns, boy."
But
funny.
We quickly became friends, and within 18 months we're engaged. And
how sweet!
Yeah,
that's a cute story. I love that.
His grandmother.
That's funny. That's so funny. That's cute. Showing you, look at my grandson, honey. Here you go. Have you met?
She was like, "Will you write your name and your dorm room on the back of this?" And I said, "Sure." And so I did. And then she looked up my phone number and wrote my phone number in the back and said she wants you to call her.
That is too funny. I love it. You go, Grandma. That's awesome. That's funny. She's still around?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Florence Fisher.
Funny.
Yes.
That's funny. That's a great story. That's proactive, man. Sean Elmore's on here now. I can't believe you're up, Sean. You should still be sleeping, chick. But she says, Miss Callis is the best. And we've already been talking about your sweet Mimi being over at school with her. So, but anyway, boy, how did it go, Sean? I can't wait to hear the totals of what you guys raised last night. So, Sean, when you're ready to tell me, I would love to know. But I'm sure it was just, I think it was huge. It was so funny. They had a keynote speaker last night, this guy, and he gets up and he talks about how he took on this pregnancy resource center, and he went in and he was, talking to them about what he does. He goes, "Well, I'm not a speaker and I'm not a fundraiser." And of course, he did both phenomenally last night. He was an excellent speaker. But anyways, it was a great night. So good to see you, Sean. And but yes, she is wonderful. I'm so glad to meet you and just getting to meet. I'm really glad that Jim brought this back. It was one of those things. It was in place when I took over the show whenever Dick left and went back to Chicago. And they had it in kind of a system where they had the principals coming in, and I just didn't understand the rhythm of it, and we just didn't continue it. And so Jim said, we need to bring that back. I'm like, absolutely. I just didn't even know how to make it happen. So I'm so thrilled he did it. And so if you're wondering, our communications director had the idea for us to visit with our principals because we've got all these schools and to understand the communities and things like that. So on the first Tuesday is the goal to visit with 2 principals during the school year. We're not going to do this during the summer, but during the school year is to have these visits. So I'm planning on having you back next year and,
That's
coming in
great.
and talk about the things. Because if you got anything coming up as far as your building structure, is everything set with you guys? Are y'all doing any remodeling? Because some schools are getting new HVACs and, is there anything like that going on with y'all?
We had that done several years ago.
Yeah.
I think, technology upgrades are kind of always happening.
Sure. Yeah.
When we came back over one of the breaks, I believe new projectors had been installed.
Right.
Some of my teachers were like, what is, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's
Yeah.
great, happy surprise. Like I think we were talking earlier, capacity wise, we're not looking at, a rebuild or big remodel or anything. There is some cosmetic work that needs
Yeah.
to be done out front, but really it's structurally we're pretty sound.
Solid. Yeah, it looks like,
Some plumbing issues here and there, but I think
sure.
that's
Yeah, we all have those plumbing issues.
Yeah,
and
that's
a
to
lot
be
and some of that's the kiddos being knuckleheads.
I think
You
so.
have no idea, guys, what those little knuckleheads want to do, to the point we have to monitor bathrooms now.
Yes.
We have teachers trying to be in the bathroom. I have my bathroom duty.
That's right. Yeah.
And you just have to keep an eye on them because you don't want them going in and messing with stuff.
Sure.
Because you're going to always have a few knuckleheads. They're just going to be there. It's just part of the world. But now, one thing we haven't touched on, how are you as far as, do you have all positions filled? Do you have some retirements coming up? Have you got some I need a math teacher. I need a special ed teacher. I need this. I need teacher's assistants. Is there anything like that as far as employees that you're looking for?
It's really an unusual thing let me back up. When I was first hired in the district, it was you do what you have to do to get in.
Right.
And now and then you work into whatever your dream position is. Like I had friends who started out in in let's say a middle school, and they really wanted to be kindergarten teachers, and they put in their time. They moved, so to speak. Now it's kind of name the position, and it might be yours.
Oh wow!
Right now at GES, we are looking for a pre-K assistant, but other than that, I don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I have really great teachers who are often chosen to be academic coaches or lead interventionists. So sometimes over the summer, we'll have an opening come available. I don't have any retirements that I know about.
Right.
That's sometimes another sneaky thing that happens too. But right now, we are pretty good. I did talk to another principal. That's one thing I will say about our district, especially, at the elementary, at all the levels. Administrators, we're pretty good friends. We talk to each other and we like to help each other out. So I was talking to an administrator yesterday because I have a friend possibly moving back to the area that has a very specialized degree, and I don't have an opening, but I was like, hey, I think I have the perfect spot. And I quickly gave that principal a call, and she was like, hey, send her my way.
Yeah.
Our job fair is coming up March 26th.
Yes.
I would definitely encourage anybody to come to that that's even remotely interested, or if you're even interested in possibly considering subbing. That, I will tell you, is our biggest need right now. There are mornings where we have 3 positions unfilled with substitutes, and trying to juggle moving assistants or splitting classrooms or just trying to make sure not only the kids are supervised for the day, but also have instruction for the day is tricky. And that's probably our biggest need, at least in my school, is substitutes.
Right. I think that's kind of across the board too, really. Yeah.
I think so. But so right now we stand pretty good for next year. Like I said, it's typically a June or July thing when someone will call me. For example, last year I had a teacher move to Henry County that got to build her dream house on the lake, or, something like that, that comes up kind of late in the summer. But, district-wide, I know we do have several openings, and hopefully that job fair can help fill some of those. So
that job fair is where I opened the door for me working here. I had gone in. I had specifically was looking at being English language, or working with the immigrant kids. That's what I was wanting to do. And I forget what I call it ESL, but they call it English language learner. So and so at Springfield, and got a phone call from Dr. Osborne. It's like, we have another idea, and so that's how I ended up doing the audio video class. But it was that job fair opened the door for not just me, then my husband, because then once I saw the potential for what I was doing, being able to be a career teacher, I was like, well, your education's in criminal justice. You could teach criminal justice. And so we're both teaching and just having a blast. I mean, we absolutely love it. And
you're seeing more and more of that of people coming from other career paths that want to make the move to education for whatever reason or another.
Well, you've done, it's for us, we say we retired into teaching, because the kids are like, don't you ever want to retire, Miss Vivian? I'm like, well, I kind of already did. And I'm doing this now, because very few people retire and then do nothing. They volunteer, right. they stay. If you stay involved, and I like structure, and so this is a perfect fit for me. And I've not been doing it for 30 years like some of my friends. You know who you are, and you're tired. Because it's exhausting, and I can see why it's exhausting.
Well, and if you start like at 30 years, when I think about that, I started at 20. I was hired at really 22. I can retire at 51.
Yeah.
Now, I will, hopefully maybe have all my kids out of college by that point. But, at the same time, 51, I can't sit at home. I don't want to sit at home.
No,
I jokingly tell my husband, who works for my family business, which is selling grass seed. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. You're going to teach me how to sell. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. But, like you said, there's different career options.
So many. There really is. And I just can't recommend it enough. I've got another friend of mine that retired into teaching, and it's just, and I think it gives the kids too they get to know my generation. That, and I think that's a good thing. I know that just all the diversity that we can expose the kids to is just a good thing.
That's
so
right.
What are we missing? Anything? Because we're out of time. I saw Jen has walked in.
She's here,
so
yes.
Anything we're missing about Greenbrier Elementary, Bobcat Country, y'all?
It's a great place to be. Yeah. I'm just happy to be there, and looking forward to what the spring brings.
I know. I think we're all ready for spring. We're ready for it. We're ready for it. So anyway, so nice to see you, and I'll look forward to seeing you again.
Sounds good.
Thank you again for coming in. I'll let you walk out and let Jen come in, and while y'all are doing that, I'm going to talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. I got to hang out with them last night at the Legacy Dinner for Open Door Pregnancy and Resource Center. Barry, I've been bragging on him, and Catherine, they are the ones that put together the video we saw last night. Oh my goodness, it was wonderful, and just a wonderful evening of seeing what's going on. But I always talk about how that so much of what I love about, go ahead and sit right there where she was sitting. What I love about Barry and Rebecca is how involved in the community they are, because if there's something going on in the community, odds are you're going to see them there. And that was the case last night. They were both there. Catherine was there with them, and it was just a wonderful night. And guess what? They're going to be in here tomorrow. I like to talk to them every few months just because to get a handle on what's happening in real estate. One of the first questions we always ask them, when's a good time to buy? And the answer is always right now, because if interest prices are up, housing prices are down. If housing prices are up, interest prices are down. Typically is how it goes. So what you don't pay one, you're going to pay the other. It's just they're not making any more real estate. So it's always a good time to buy. That's what they're going to tell you. Rebecca, I want her to talk about her pathway from going in, she was in radiology many years ago. She's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She's been at this a very long time. But when she made that transition from radiology going into real estate, she wanted to make sure that she found a company that checked all the boxes. And she's talked about that. And that's what she found with Exit, to the point that they're still with Exit. They've been with them a long time. And they were with the Garden Gate team. They switched over, and then they took her agency office along with his brokerage office. It's here in Springfield. Her agency office is in White House. His brokerage office is here in Springfield. They combined the two to bring you a new branch in the Exit Tree, guys. Just a great opportunity to sit down and talk with them. We'll have them in here tomorrow for the hour. Just if you have any questions, be sure and send them to me. And they'll also be, of course, at the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival. They're one of the founding members of that and founding sponsors. And that'll be another chance for you to sit down and talk to them across the table. But you can make an appointment and do that anytime. You can just give them a call. You can call Rebecca at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. You can connect with them at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, B-U-Y, robertscounty.com. They are cross-Polanians. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but like me, they're originally from Kentucky, so they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. If you want to connect with them, tune in tomorrow and reach out to them today and be sure and let them know that U-Turn sent you. And as we continue our conversations with our principals, I always like to ask, because if you have made that achievement, I want to honor that.
I hear ya.
You know, if you've made that achievement, I'm going to honor that because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And but now you're at Cheatham.
I'm at Cheatham Park, yes,
Cheatham
ma'am.
Park.
Yes.
And what does that, because that's one thing I was talking with Brooke about, that it's, if you're not in the school system, and even when you're in the school system, it's hard to fully understand how it all works and why we have this little school here and this one here. And a lot of it's because these are buildings that we have and what can we accommodate.
Yeah.
Cheatham Park, what ages do you have?
So we are 3rd through 5th grade. So that's considered really intermediate elementary. So we don't have the youngers. It's interesting that Brooke and I came on the same day. You would have had a lot of fun if you had had us in here together because I was Brooke's assistant principal for the last 6 years.
That's
and
what she
so
was telling me. Yeah.
So it's interesting going from a pre-K 5 building to a 3-5 because what you do in pre-K through 2nd grade is typically very different than 3rd through 5th. And so it's really great to be in a building where we really can focus on the needs of that age group.
Well, and I guess TCAP testing is coming up for you too.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
So that's the thing. And she explained that to me because, I mean, as you know, with us, it's all EOCs. End of course testing is all just testing to see where they are on the how are we doing? How are we doing as schools? And I mean, that's something we're always working on, trying to get those scores up because we want the kids to absolutely and we want to be ranked in the way that we know we should be as a district, because I have not met a teacher that was not dedicated, that did not love their kids and just pouring into them. But we have challenges. Yes. We have challenges, and there's a lot of you've got kiddos that are in families that don't have a lot of structure to where they're working with the kids and studying with them. We do have a lot of kids that English is not necessarily their first language, and trying to bring those youngins along is a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant challenge.
Yeah. We are particularly, I love the diversity of our population at Cheatham Park. Downtown Springfield is such a beautiful area. We're right off the square, but our zone pulls from so many different neighborhoods, and I would say that we are probably close to 40% English learners this year.
Wow.
And that doesn't mean that they don't know any English. It just means they're on that spectrum of language acquisition. And 40%. We have 40%.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. And
that blows
some
my
grades
mind.
more than others.
Wow.
We have one grade that's closer to almost 50%, and then one grade that's, closer to 30. But
that's breathtaking. Wow.
It's a beautiful place to be, but it certainly shapes the way that we plan and the way that we push and the way that we measure our success as a building.
I get it. Yeah.
TCAP is huge, and Brooke did a great job. I was listening to her on the drive here, and she did a great job explaining, that sort of achievement is the did you pass or not question,
Right.
And certainly we want our kids to show that they passed or that they are ready and proficient with what the grade level expectation is. However, when you have students that are coming in and really working on just basic conversational vocabulary, we know that they have other ways that they need to show success first while we are teaching them reading and math and science and social studies. And so that growth component is especially important for our building. In fact, this being my first year at Cheatham Park, we did a school-wide theme, which that building had not done in quite some time. And the teachers voted on it, and our theme this year is Level Up. And we really have embraced that. And from a kid perspective, they think about that phrase in gaming terms, right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
always thinking about leveling up on Fortnite or, whatever they're playing. But from an educational perspective, it really is about taking every child where they are and setting goals for what's next. And for some of them, what's next is moving to proficiency or passing. For some of them, it's moving to a place of being advanced. And for some of them that are still especially at that language acquisition level, it is just leveling up to show that their growth is more than it was last time.
Right.
And so as Brooke mentioned benchmark testing right now, mine are actually about to start a math test in about 20 minutes. And so, every student in our building has set a goal for this test, and their teachers have set their own goals for their classes, and then we celebrate those that have leveled up. So when we took the winter benchmark, out of 310 students, 158 leveled up. On that winter benchmark. And so we did pictures and celebrated, and we're really looking forward to celebrating this round of scores too.
That's great. That's great. And I mean, I don't know if you heard me, I was telling Brooke, I originally, when I went to the job fair several years ago, I went with the intention of being an ELL teacher.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of work in the immigrant community, and just have a great love for newcomers. And I was like, because I had been doing ESL through my church, and for a long time, and so just really felt a draw to that. And then I found out I could go and do my audio video as a career teacher and not have to go back to school. But I have such a great relationship with my ELLs at Greenbrier, and just have a great love for them, because we just have no idea what the challenge these precious kids are facing. And to get them at the age you're getting them, though, some of the greatest stories I have seen in the newcomer community are these kiddos that come in and they have very little English, and then all of a sudden they just know not only English, and I mean they stay proficient in their original language. That's one of my big things because I work with a lot of Arabic speakers, and trying to get the kids to not lose their first language.
Yes,
because they get in. And I fuss at my kiddos at Greenbrier High School that their parents speak Spanish, and I'm like, how's your Spanish? Not so good, Miss Vivio. I'm like, I can tell.
Yeah.
I said, can you communicate with your family back home? Well, through mom and dad. And it's like, how's that working for you?
Sure.
You know? And I'm like, I wish I were bilingual.
Oh, me too.
I'm not. I speak English, and that's it. And
Southern, right? English and Southern. Yeah, those are my two languages.
So I just have such a passion for these kiddos and all the. I mean, what a challenge that they have for them, because they're
it's
here.
It's really important for them to embrace both cultures, their home culture, and as they're assimilating and learning the language in the U.S. as well. And I will say our EL teacher team, hands down, they are phenomenal. Not only in what they do and give to their students, but their heart for them. Their attention, I think, to bringing just cultural awareness, not only to that group, but really to our school and our community, is beautiful. And I would say, that's one of the things that has impressed me most in my transition this year. And people told me before I ever stepped foot on the campus, the heart of Cheatham Park is just really unique and special. And teaching in a population like ours is certainly, well, let me say, teaching nowhere is easy. It's not easy anywhere.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of challenges,
but certainly there are challenges that come with a lot of language diversity and economic diversity, and students with some learning disabilities, and making sure that we're hitting every student at what they need. But the heart of our faculty and staff, that they choose to come in every day and love these kids and challenge them, not loving them so we make everything easy and clear down all the obstacles, but loving them enough to challenge and push them because we know the level they can reach.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of my ELLs, they'll be like, oh, I don't understand. I'm like, yes, you do. You're getting there. Come on, come on. You can do this.
You can do it.
And just encouraging them just to keep plugging, because I personally, I go to Mexico every year for mission work down there, and I cannot imagine having to go into a classroom or something like that and be expected to function,
Yeah.
in their language. I
Yes.
can't even. And so I don't know. I can't believe that's your number though. My goodness, that's a lot for y'all. My. Y'all have, so, let me ask you this question. Do you have some job openings then? Are you looking for some ELL teachers? And, one of our best ELL teachers we've had is they stole him into technology.
Oh,
You
hate
are.
it when they steal people.
I know. He went over to technology, and I'm like, what are you doing? He was so
Yeah.
gifted at ELL, and you know who you are. And we've got I've not really gotten to know our newest ELL, but now we've got one sweet lady. She's from Ukraine, and she's just beautiful and wonderful, too. And so we've had just great ELLs. But, yeah, when you steal them into technology, that's not good. But so where are you guys as far as, do you have some openings right now?
So right now we have an opening posted for a school counselor, and we have a couple of openings that will be posted soon that I can't really share out yet.
Okay.
But they're coming. I am hoping for a growth position in our EL department, so I'm hoping to be able to add an EL teacher next year, but that's sort of all in the budget process and looking at our numbers. But there's a job fair coming up in Robertson County. I'll give you a little plug for that. So if you're listening out there and you have any interest in serving in our school system, there are openings from classified staff and assistants to bus drivers to school nutrition, all the way up to certified positions. There's a pathway for job embedded licenses, and we have a couple of excellent teachers in our building that we've brought on through the job embedded process. There's also a great need for substitutes, and there is a job fair. I don't remember the date right offhand. I'm sorry, Miss Galuzzi, but it is the end of March, the last week of March at Central Office.
Brooke was mentioning it. I wanted to say the 20th. Let me look here real quick. I wanted to say they said the 26th. That would put it on a Wednesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Oh, it's a Tuesday.
Yes,
I'm
pretty sure.
If it's a Tuesday, it's the 25th because we're on spring break the 17th through the 21st.
Yes, praise the Lord for that.
Yes, we're all ready for spring break. It's just what we know. It's going to be so crazy when we get back, and we're just kind of got to get our breath and go.
Yes.
Whoa, get ready for it because it's going to be. I am a spot. My homeroom is they're seniors.
Okay.
And so I'm just like. Number one, can't believe they're going to, the ones that graduated early that I have not seen since they graduated, I'm like, well, the ones that graduated last year that were just seniors that were in my AV class, it's hard. That's the hardest part about teaching.
Yes.
Are these kids when they leave your space and you're just like, bye.
Yes.
You don't have that. My kiddos, they have to, my children, my physical children have to stay in touch with me because I'm their mother.
Right.
They don't have to. We might see them out around town and be like, hey, Miss Vivio, how you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? Tell me. Update me. What's happening?
Yes.
Are you married yet? All this. I can just imagine, and I want to know what's going on in their lives, man. I ran into one of them's girlfriend the other day and I was like, how's he doing? All this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's the hardest part about teaching is bye. I'm just like, man.
Yeah. It's this is your 26 for me.
Wow.
And it is.
You look way too young for that to be.
You're so sweet.
I had no
Keep
idea.
going, LaVern.
I'm serious. You definitely.
And it is the most unexpected blessing when I'm at Walmart or Target and I run into and they'll go, Miss Hayes or Miss Holt, which was my baby. And sometimes I'll go, hey, sweet baby, if I can't place their name right away because after 26 years,
it's hard,
but it is so amazing to be able to touch base with them, to listen to how their lives have turned out. Sometimes they'll share, a story from our classroom that I'd forgotten. It is just beautiful. And now I'm at the age where I start to get grand students. That's what I call them. When I have a student of a student that I taught, 2 decades ago. But
that's fun. My
precious.
friend, I don't know if you know Muriel Barnett. She had taught at. She was at Greenbrier. She was at White House Heritage and retired 32 years in, I think. Finally, she's a math teacher.
Wow.
And she's one of my very best friends. And so I hear all of her recollections like that where people will she'll get a random letter and it just, she just like weeps over it because it just makes her heart just because it'd be like, I forgot that happened.
Yes.
And it's so special to hear her talk about that.
Yes.
And she, somebody was like, you've got me, you made sure I graduated. You brought me in and tutored me. And she's like, I'd forgotten I did that, and it's just so beautiful to see those stories from her. And so did we convince you that you want to be a teacher, substitute, anything? Because it is wonderful. It's exhausting. I'm not going to tell you it's not, but that's why we get breaks. That's why we get breaks, y'all. Don't be like, all you teachers get all those breaks. You have no idea. Yeah. If you're teaching and you're doing it right, you got to have them because you're exhausted.
Yes.
You're exhausted at the end of it because there's something all the time.
Yeah, but there's never a day that you leave and wonder if you made a difference that day.
Absolutely. There's every day you think there's something, okay, that kid needed that today. Yeah.
So often when those letters come or those stories come back or, you run into them, out and about years down the road, they'll mention something that it was maybe insignificant in your mind, but it made such a difference for them. And so all you grown-ups out there, if you have a teacher or someone in a school setting that impacted you and you haven't told them, tell them because, let them know the difference that they made for you.
I love it. I love it. We are talking with Jen Hayes. She is the principal at Cheatham Park. And you had said, now this is your first year as a principal, but you were vice principal with
Brooke,
with Miss Callis out at Greenbrier Elementary.
Yes, ma'am.
How long? So what is your journey to where you are now?
Oh goodness!
What did you teach? What subject?
So I taught. All of my teaching experience was 5th through 8th grade. Okay. I taught all the subjects, but math was my specialty. Okay. And the first 12 years of my career was in a neighboring district that shall not be named. But we had moved up to Robertson County, and when my oldest started kindergarten, it was really important that I was on his schedule. And so it's interesting, at the time I was in grad school, and Dr. Weeks was one of my professors, and I said, hey, Dr. Weeks, do you know if there's a math position coming up somewhere, in the Greenbrier area? And so I got hired on as an 8th grade teacher at Greenbrier Middle School, loved it, stayed there and taught 8th grade and Algebra 1 for 7 years, I think, and then transitioned into administration.
I love it. Math teachers are superheroes. I'm just sorry. When I hear about ones that I'm like, you're a real teacher. I tell my kids all the time, I give my kids a hard time in class. I'm like, guys, remember, I'm not a real teacher. I'm a, radio clown, for heaven's sakes, that got put, I'm just trying to help y'all understand the nuances of media. And I am a teacher because I've gotten certified now and all of that. I've done the classes.
Yes.
But I tease them because I said, I really talked to him about what the EOCs mean for them and their teachers. I said, not only is it critical for your growth and understanding, these teachers that you say you really care about, it affects them greatly if you go in and blow these tests off.
Yeah.
You just have no idea. Number one, they're pouring themselves into you, trying to make sure you understand this stuff. And then if you just blow it off, you're being so disrespectful of their work. And truly, being the demand for math teachers, oh my word, when my friend retired, because she's a math teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they, putting you in administration out of math, they're like, I really want to keep you. That can affect, we need math teachers desperately.
We sure do.
And so that's a highly sought after position.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's a tough job. I have my husband and I, we retired into teaching. He teaches criminal justice. I teach, audio video. Then we have a sweet friend, Mr. Valans. He was like, I'm going to do that. Next thing I know, he's teaching English. And I'm like, Chris, that's a real subject. That's hard. I was like, you're teaching English? It's like, that's a tested subject. Sure, and they're all, the CTE program is phenomenal.
Yes,
because it's
so
mentoring.
Good.
It is teaching kids about what life's going to be like when you step out of that classroom and you step into the workforce. Yes. And so I just am so proud of what we're doing with the career and technical education. But again, what the teachers like math teachers and social studies and the sciences and the English teachers, Oh my goodness, it's a lot.
It's a huge amount of pressure, and from a
Yeah.
parent perspective, I'll speak to what you said about the CTE. So I have my son graduated from Greenboro last year. I have a daughter
Okay.
that's a sophomore there now, and when I ask about their day or if it's the start of the semester and I'm asking about their new classes, their CTE courses are always the ones they're telling me
Yeah.
about first because it's what they're excited about. They're
Yeah.
thinking about what their next steps might look like after graduation, and sometimes it's to go, yes, this is what I want to do. And sometimes it's to go, oh, that's not what I thought
Yeah.
it was going to be, which is great before you're paying for college
Yes.
courses for that,
I've steered some kids away from audio video as a major. And the reason why is because it's like acting, and
Sure.
it is a very difficult industry. And it's not that you can't do it; it's just you have to have the reality of the difficult schedule, the low pay. I have a guy that comes in from Vol State, Steve Bisher, that comes in that is a 5-time Grammy award-winning sound engineer, has 100 number one singles that he engineered. I mean,
Wow.
he is the real deal. And he came in and talked to my kiddos, and he says he's talked about at the height of his career, every 3 months he was looking for a new job because you're independent,
Yes.
and that's something they don't think about.
Yeah.
Very few people get hired by a studio and that's your job and you have benefits, and it's something that you don't realize. And it's not to and I say I've steered them away from. I just help them to understand the reality of it.
Yes.
And yes, go for it, but make sure you understand what you're getting into because it's a different life. And so that's what they need to hear. But then in the same sense, I tell Dr. Osborne, our principal, every one of these kids need to take AV1 because they're everyone broadcasting because of these little things in their pocket.
Yes.
Every one of them are broadcasting. They need to understand the implications and the
Sure.
consequences of that.
Yeah.
And so, I just can't say enough. And then my husband's doing career criminal justice and in talking to kids about anything to do with law enforcement. What was your son's career path then? What was his CTE?
Well, originally it started out in health science because
Okay.
he thought he wanted to be a surgeon.
Okay.
And he ended up, so he did all of the health science pathway.
Okay.
And liked it, enjoyed it, but he plays music and he feels
Wow.
called to ministry.
That's
and so
awesome.
so he has that health science pathway and was able to get a good foundation there, but really felt called to go into
But see,
into
that's the
music.
thing. He was
Yeah.
able to see that. Pam Likens, who is our health sciences pathway,
Mhm.
she was a surgical nurse.
Yeah.
And so, again, she can bring a unique perspective of
Yes.
can you handle the smells? Can
Well,
you,
so
can you handle a lot of
My
that?
daughter has her right now because
Oh,
my
she's
daughter
wonderful.
wants to go into nursing,
Yeah.
and so health science is her pathway as well.
Well,
Now she takes the cosmetology and fashion design for the fun.
yeah.
And loves
yeah.
it, but she's loving Miss Likens' class, and really,
yeah.
it is such a good opportunity for them to tiptoe into that,
Yes.
before we make big life
You
decisions
bet.
about
And
that.
to get a medical assistant license.
Yes,
They can do that in high school, guys.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
telling you, what
amazing.
we're doing in career and technical education is phenomenal. And here in Robertson County, if you've not been paying attention, it's getting better every year.
yeah,
And from the very ground up, from what you guys are doing in the elementary schools all the way through the middle schools, it's all just a big family. And this is something that I was talking with Miss Callis about. It's that family atmosphere that we have in Robertson County. And before we run out of time, what are you most proud of at Cheatham Park?
Oh
then?
goodness.
That's a question I like to ask
Ah.
everybody.
This year, I think I'm most proud of our students with their goal setting and their leveling up. If I think about what I see around the building and their excitement, and literally they will stop me in the hallway and say, this was a conversation from a fifth grader that I will say was very difficult to motivate.
Yeah. Okay.
And he stopped me and said, Miss Hayes, my last benchmark was a 9 and my goal was a 12 and I made a 23.
Oh, good job.
And I had so many conversations like that throughout the
Good
building.
job.
And when
that
they
great?
can recognize and celebrate their own success is
I love
really
that.
important.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
And a life
That's
skill.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's exciting. See, don't you want to be involved with us at the
Great
school
things.
system?
Great things are happening in Robertson
Better
County.
believe it. It really is, guys. I'm so excited about it. And we just had PD. The kids were out of school yesterday, but we were all working with our professional development stuff. And just, some of it can be kind of daunting and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, what are we doing now? But it's all trying to make it better and better. At the end of the day, everything that they present us with professional developments, all trying to level up and show that improvement. Not just check the box, but how are we improving?
Yes.
And it's taking that next step. I like that level up.
Yeah.
I like that. That's our goal across the board, is to level up. Anything that we're missing about your school that you want people to know?
Just it's a great place to be, and I'm so grateful for our community support. Downtown Springfield, like I said, is a beautiful place, and we've First Baptist Springfield has been so supportive of us throughout the year with hands-on projects and supporting both our teachers and our students. We're just really grateful for community support and hope that they continue to see the great things happening at Cheatham Park.
I love it. I love it. And I know, too, Cheatham Park is one of the ones that comes up with United Way and Raise Your Hand for tutorial.
Yes.
And that is one that I want to figure out a way to help with some tutoring or something, and I'm just not there yet. But Cheatham Park would be, because I live very near downtown. One that's kind of been in my mind would be one that I could do some tutoring in if I could. Yeah, because even if you could just do one day a week.
Sure.
And with you telling me about your EL kiddos, I'm like, oh, that's where I need to be if I'm going to do some tutoring, for sure. And so that's just I've got to see about that and look into that.
Yeah.
So look at United Way and Raise Your Hand and those kinds of things if you want to come in. And people talk about how do we change the world from the inside out, and that's from your community within. You get all these big ideas about all the things going on in the world, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, what you do is inside out, from the ground up. That's how you make a difference.
Yeah. In your community.
You better believe it.
One kid at a time.
One kid at a time. Yeah. Amen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful visit. Yeah. Thank you, Jim, for setting this up. This was fun today. I knew it was going to be. So glad to have you join us.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys. And thank you, guys, for joining us as well. Tomorrow, we will have Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty will be joining us. So we'll be able to ask them all the real estate questions. So if you have any questions, get ready for that. And also, too, I kind of want to tease this. Of course, United Way will be in on Thursday at 7:30. But Omar Hamada, if you have heard him on this program many, many times, he is a dear friend of mine, huge military background. He is a doctor. He is just a Renaissance man, big time, and very knowledgeable about foreign affairs, that kind of stuff. I've got friends in Ukraine. And I told him, I messaged him the other day, and I said, as I'm hearing all this stuff, I've got really dear friends in Ukraine, and I'm concerned, I'm worried. Help me out here. And I've called him about questions that I have about a lot of foreign stuff, the foreign policy with Israel and all that. And I said, I need to understand this better. And so he's going to be on the phone with us from 7 to 7:30. So I just kind of tease that to say, if you have some questions you want me to send to Omar, let me know, and I'll reach out to him and put those out to him. We won't have him but just for a half hour, but always like touching base with Omar, and he will be with us, joining us via phone on Thursday morning. So I hope you'll join us, and thank you for joining us today. It's been a fun morning. Hope you have a great day. This is, again, 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous day.
One street over there's a life I could have known.
The chimes of time.
I don't want a little bit of your love. I want to be overflowing. Don't want a little bitty blessing, Lord. I want my cup running over.